All right, Squirt. Here's your chance for stardom. Are you ready?
Yeah.
All right, welcome to Two Seals and a Walrus. My name is Sean Webb, and this is the podcast with the two Navy SEALs as co-hosts. To my right, we have United States Navy SEAL Ben Johnson, a sniper medic, and we have to his right Doug Moulton, United States Navy SEAL sniper. And in the hot seat today, because we had a no-show on one of our guests, we have my son, Declan Webb. I have no idea what this is going to do to our YouTube status of having a child on our podcast. Now there's a whole big thing going on about kids on videos or videos for kids, or we're going to have to read into whether we can even release this thing. But
oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah, interesting stuff. Interesting days. Like the FTC folks are putting in things in place to protect kids and yada, 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 but it's mucking up the works.
Yeah.
I don't think they should limit that not kids being on YouTube videos, so...
Why?
Because I have fun!
You think there's risk
No.
with not regulating it, though?
Spoken like a child. Because I like to have fun.
From the mouths of babes.
It's like 32-year-olds.
Oh, man.
Oh, come on, man.
All right, so
33.
you, Declan, you do enjoy watching YouTube a lot, right?
Yeah.
And you watch YouTube for your soccer videos?
Yeah.
To learn how to do soccer. You watch your videos to learn how to do better Fortnite?
Sometimes. But it's not like I take video lessons. I just, watch Fortnite videos, competing, death runs, all that stuff.
Yeah. And does that stuff inform you well?
Yeah.
Now, see, that's what they're going to try to clamp down on in YouTube is the videos that are targeted for kids or that kids could watch that may be inappropriate for kids in some fashion. I don't know what that means.
Yeah, who decides that?
I know. The Federal Trade Commission, supposedly.
Christ almighty.
It's dangerous when people have the ideology of, I know what's right for other people.
Yeah.
The slippery slope.
It is a slippery slope, and I'm really concerned about it. There are a lot of people who are concerned about it on YouTube who are YouTubers who focus their content for kids in a good way, and they're worried that they're going to get scooped up in this non-monetization of their whole channel and yada, yada, yada. So...
Isn't that what I was gonna do? You said, set up an emotional intelligence video for kids?
Yeah, we're going to do a whole emotional intelligence for kids channel. And now that is uncertain of how we're going to have to do that.
I read this YouTube book. Oh my gosh, I forgot the authors. What were the authors?
Sean Cannell?
Yeah, Sean Cannell, and I forgot the other ones.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it was
Is it something Travis?
YouTube Secrets.
Yeah, the YouTube Secrets book.
Just a guess.
As he reads the side of the book.
Yeah.
Yeah, so anyway, yeah, you're right. We are considering doing something like that. We'll have to do a lot of research into that, but he has been taking notes out of his YouTube book on how to do YouTube, how to do the science of YouTube.
Nice.
But I had to restart because I did it the first time I read the book. So Dad said, read it the first time on it by itself, and then you take notes.
Yeah.
Yep. That's the science of how you remember stuff better.
Why don't you just do it the first time, though?
Boom.
Is that possible, though?
Yeah. You could take notes as you go.
Huh.
Can.
I never tried that.
But I found in college, if I was doing that, I was spending more energy on transcribing the notes as opposed to retaining the information.
Aha.
You do run the risk of losing a lot of contextual data that won't translate over to bullet points. You know what I mean?
You know the best way to really learn a new concept?
You keep doing it and doing it and doing it.
There's one level I think that's considered above that. It's
Trying to
teaching
teach
it.
somebody.
Yeah.
Teaching it.
Even pretending to. I've done this with stuff.
Because you'll have to sort through it.
It forces you to look at the problem or situation from a different perspective. Because when you have to convey a concept as opposed to retain a concept, it really, really solidifies it in your brain. I've always learned more anytime I've taught something to somebody.
Yeah, I see where you're going. Because teachers always learn stuff when their kids say something or like something they didn't know. So.
Declan, what's your thoughts on emotional intelligence?
That's very important for the world.
Why?
So, you know how there's always so much violence going on? Like shooting, arguing, presidential elections.
Yep.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
I mean,
Go on.
So if we could just clear partly of the presidential elections and everything, like, if we could just control our minds, then life would be so much easier. That's.
If we could control our minds, then we might be able to mitigate some of the things that you were just talking about,
Yeah.
like the issues that we have with presidential politics or with politics in general.
I have an issue with the phrase. I've said this anytime I've heard it. Controlling your mind. I feel like that's a dangerous approach to it because to me it's not controlling your mind.
It's misnomer.
It's managing it. Because
Okay, but I understand where you're going with that because we had this discussion previously. You're managing it, but at the same time, you can, like when you take control of the variables that create your emotional responses in the first place, I think that's where you cross over into controlling your mind. In that,
So maybe it's an argument of definition of what control is. To me, that's not control.
okay,
Because you can't control your emotions. You can only control what you do with them.
right, but at the same time, you can downregulate your emotions by
That's
controlling.
managing, though, to me.
Okay,
I mean, it might be just a semantical perspective. But
yeah,
I do think people hear control, and
but
I
isn't that a
do-
dial that you can, like, you grab your expectation or preference and you shift it? Isn't that a dial that you're then controlling your mind's
it is,
output?
But I wouldn't bet my life that any given situation I can promise you the outcome of my emotional reaction. And that's not control.
Well, it is if you can set the variables within your equation of emotion. Because if you can set your expectation or preference and or your perception, your mind, your subconscious mind, will then be extremely predictable, as we know.
But being human, we err.
Yeah.
It's not. We're fallible.
We're not infallible.
Yeah. I think having the viewpoint of managing, vice controlling, you get away from I shouldn't be feeling this way. Like, no. You feel however you feel. You don't get to choose how you feel. You get to choose what you do with it. It might be just semantical, but anyways.
Okay. And so, Declan, what you're saying is to learn mind control helps us get into a space where we can control our reactions a little better or understand how to better manage our reactions, to Doug's point.
Yeah.
So I want to ask you, if you don't mind, how do you use emotional intelligence if someone's like angry towards you or at you or not behaving towards you?
If he just keeps doing it, or if the person just keeps doing it consecutively, then I just do what Dad says. Like he said, Yusuf, he was someone on my tribal soccer team. He was like being mean to everyone, and so my dad told me to go like stop being a jerk. And if he said something, then he's like, you know what, you're not gonna have any friends. So I did that, and then he stopped being mean to me.
Okay, so you were adjusting, you were hacking at their self-confidence then in there. That's what we were talking about, right?
You were the one who told me to.
Yeah, I did.
But I had no idea.
Well, they were simple bullying tools, right? To undermine the bully's self-confidence in their attack, right? By asking them questions that then focus back in on themselves, right? You're not saying anything about them. You're making them focus and answer a question. You're asking questions that make it focus on themselves, and they don't like what they see, and so they stop their behavior.
You know, it's another approach to that too that I've done. I've used this dynamic a lot. Is you approach them with some empathy, and maybe start with something that is positive about them. Like, hey, listen, you're a cool kid. Why are you picking on us? We like you.
Yeah.
They can't be defensive. They might be, but it doesn't give them a whole lot of wiggle room.
But then that's more defensive on your part.
You don't think calling him a jerk is more defensive?
No, but if you call him jerk, that's going on offense. Like
I think if you said he was
then you're
acting
going
like
on
a jerk.
defense.
See, I think asking
So they're two different things.
asking questions is always my approach.
It's everyone's approach. Dad's, dogs.
You'd be surprised how many people's approach is not.
Yeah.
I'm surprised.
It's everyone's
I'm already
approach in this
surprised.
room.
Yeah. Yeah, you're probably used to people with that approach. Vice people making an emotional assumption and reacting without asking for more information. I have a rule where if I think I have a reason to snap at someone or jump down someone's throat, I will so sincerely, calmly make sure, beyond a shadow of a doubt, I am valid for feeling that way. I will give them every opportunity to explain something I missed.
Facts.
Yeah, it pays dividends.
Yeah.
So
It does.
then, what's your say in this? Like, you haven't said a word in like 10 minutes, so I just want to give you the opportunity to talk.
Your largesse knows no bounds. I think, man, you're on a hell of a track for somebody your age, and it might be hard to put into perspective right now, but I guarantee you, if you don't deviate from this path and continue progressing in this direction, you're going to see immeasurable value and enrichment in your life just by understanding these core concepts. What somebody with your intellect is going to draw the most value from, one of the most incredibly valuable skills any human could learn, is to entertain another person's perspective, get that emotional perspective from them, and use that
I kind
to make your own perspective relative to theirs, and understand the magnitude of the meaning of your assessment of their state, so that you can understand the best approach to either A, conflict resolution, be resolute in conflicts or whatever, mitigate damage, or B, develop network connections, elicit information that otherwise would not be available to you, that they wouldn't normally share, build a network of friends that you can fall back on, like a safety net. It's endless applications. If you get people just cozy enough to uncross their arms and lean back and start being in commune, because you're paying attention, you're making them feel validated and heard.
Because you're empathizing with them.
They will give you everything you could ever imagine and more. They'll give you all of the secrets to life. They'll give you all the information that exists. They'll give you all the devotion and love that they have to invest in someone. People will almost involuntarily emotionally invest in somebody or something that strikes a chord with them at a empathic level. So, emotional intelligence is a phenomenal, critical problem-solving tool in a conflict situation. It's magnitudes more valuable if you find productive and positive applications that leave a positive wake, not just neutralizing a negative one.
That's a really good point.
Harvard did a study, and they found that people with higher emotional intelligence, I think, make 30 to 40% more every year.
Yeah, that's true.
So you're basically being mean or nice. There's no like in the middle.
No, you're avoiding being mean so that you don't demean the value of somebody else's experience. An emotional intelligent, productive application would be like, if I saw that you were having a rough time, I'm not waiting for you to be bullying and then go check your behavior as a bully. If I see that you're clearly, visibly distraught, I might try to understand what's going on and then approach you with like, hey, you want to talk about it, you want to whatever, anything that would help you validate your position. It's pretty,
So he's talking about being proactively positive,
right? Mm-hmm. Seek out the productive and positive values and applications in
like
that, and use it to your benefit, right?
Yeah.
Like if there's a puddle, then you go around, not through.
There's so many things that people get misconstrued in life, and there's a finite amount of emotional and intellectual investment, but there's no cap to the amount of compassion you can spread.
Yeah, because a lot of people, this is a, I guess, kind of clear example. If someone's like, hey, you're a jerk, a lot of people be like, immediately they'll feel offended and they'll maybe react and call a name back. But the emotional intelligent reaction is, hey, what's up with you, man? team off. You don't get mad, you don't get angry, because you realize in that moment that they have something going on. And when people are mean, it's usually because they're dealing with some pain.
It's not yours.
It's not you.
them.
It's not you.
Why are you being mean?
Yeah.
So it's not necessarily offended, but
Yeah, it's like, hey, this isn't your normal behavior. What's going on?
Now, you've done that on the soccer field, right? You've actually reached out to your friends and asked them what's going on, what's bugging them.
yeah.
That's exactly what they're talking about.
Being interested in other people is probably one of the most important things to be emotionally, financially successful in life.
How is managing your relationships been on the soccer field? Because I mean, here's the thing.
Pretty good.
To give people a clue, Declan's on this soccer team, but he's not just on this soccer team. He's on the travel team, and he's U10, but they're playing up at U11, and they've just U11 Classic, and they just won their division, so they're beating kids a year to a year and a half older than them, and they're just moved up again to try to find teams that can actually compete. And so the stress level on these kids is higher because they're getting addicted to winning. You guys love playing well together, yeah?
Yeah, because we only lost 3 rounds when we were playing only U11.
So how do you manage your relationships on your team? Like, because people get frustrated, right?
Yeah, I take it 2 ways. Like, when you said, like, Lantis don't play goalie because I suck at goalie, that's not true. Well, I'm at the lower part of the goalie, but I'm not the worst.
Touche.
True.
Knowing your place is half the battle.
Mm-hmm.
You like playing goalie, but you're not one of the best goalies on your team, right?
Yeah.
And so one of your friends pointed that out to you?
Yeah.
And how'd you handle that? You guys talked it out?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. Because he wanted to know. Like, you were upset that day. You got in the van, and what did you tell me?
I wanted to quit the team.
Right.
And why?
Because it seemed like everyone was bullying me that day.
Was that actually what it was, or? I don't know,
I don't know. I mean, I don't know of meaning of another one of my friends shut up. He might be just telling us to pay attention to the game, or just, like, telling it to both of us.
Or maybe they were stressed and projecting.
Yeah.
Far more likely that they're
Projecting.
dealing with some stuff and placing that on you.
He
Yeah.
was goalie, and there was a corner kick.
Yeah, the double-edged sword of having emotional intelligence is people will project on you a lot.
Oh, almost every time. Like, being an emotionally intelligent person means that you're very, very consciously and wittingly adopting the burden of people's projection for the problems that they have that they can't adapt to. So if you're gonna use it to keep yourself out of hot water, that's fine. Just realize that every single time you use that tactic, it's going to be with a negative backdrop. You're gonna be playing catch up and recovery to neutral to balance the negativity instead of opening yourself up to absorbing all positive and negative from everything and giving people the idea that they're equally valuable and equally heard out. So that's super important in team sports, especially.
So it's like you're telling me to approach it positively rather than more negatively?
I'm saying approach it objectively and decide what the most productive path ahead based on that other person.
So you got to step back and take a look at it.
Emotional intelligence is not always you understanding your feelings. Sometimes it's you taking your feelings and putting them in a corner and time out and not paying attention to any of it because it's not important. The important thing is to address the scenario that's in front of you, not inside of you.
You know, maybe if the goalie was a little stressed, you could take a step back and realize maybe their confidence was kind of wobbling a little bit and be like, hey, listen, your save was awesome, man. Maybe that'll be the little nudge they need back in the right direction.
So, like, Dad was saying, they might have been in a bad mood or something.
It could have been, yeah. It could have been. Like, here's the thing, if people are feeling a little shaky about themselves, they'll reach out and try to take someone else around them down a notch so that they can feel a little bit better in relation.
Right.
If you spend the rest of your life bringing people around you up, you will always end up being successful.
I think what Ben was saying is like trash all the stuff that people said to you and just be positive.
Don't make any assumptions about you being at fault or you being implicated in other people's reactions to their environment.
So
It
don't
has
let
nothing to
affect
do
you,
with
basically?
you. Right. It has nothing to do with you. You get to make your own assessment, and it's not going to be an accurate one until you've entertained another's perspective and made yours relative to that.
My dad said if someone says something mean about you, it's telling you more about them. Than
Oh, yeah.
you.
Truly confident people don't put down others.
Man, your dad's a pretty smart guy, sounds like.
How much did you pay him to say all this
But
stuff?
you're my dad. So you should
All right,
be
this is
saying you're
nepotism.
my
Yeah, this is nepotism.
Spiraling.
All right, so where else could you go where a 9-year-old gets direct, awesome response advice from 2 woke United States Navy SEALs? I think you should thank Ben and Doug for giving you such awesome advice.
Thank you, Ben. Thank you, Doug.
Thank you, because we
Hey.
learned from you too, man.
Bro, exactly. This is a mutually beneficial relationship. This is not a one-way thing, man.
Isn't that the whole point of a YouTube channel?
Is to
That's
have
the
a-
idea.
Have a conversation and then let people learn from it?
Unfettered exposure to
Basically.
infinite knowledge, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, for this channel.
Yeah.
Because there's more than 3 people almost in every episode.
True. All
Like,
right.
I mean, the 2-hour video, we had Randall Carlson, so...
Right.
Yeah.
Remember to check that out, okay?
Ta-ding! Winner! Yeah, hit that subscribe button, hit that bell icon. Are you ready to do an emotional intelligence podcast for kids?
Yeah, once I get the YouTube channel started.
Okay. Excellent. All right, well, we'll call that a day. Thanks for joining us. Hope things are well for you guys. Talk to you soon. Peace.
Peace.
¿Dónde está mi teléfono?